Hey everyone, welcome back to Modern Mindset. I know at one time or another you were asked what you wanted to be when you grew up. And I told people I just wanted to sit in front of a computer 40 hours a week and just type all day. Obviously not, I'm just kidding. Obviously I didn't think I was going to be sitting in front of a computer looking at strange languages and strange error codes all day and think that was what I was going to do when I grew up. I was a typical kid who thought I was going to make it big and play in the NFL and be successful and stuff like that. I was 6 feet tall, 250 pounds in the 6th grade and was an all-around beast at football. Like I had been told by plenty of people I was going to go far. I was told by a doctor I'd be 6'3", 6'4". Obviously not, I'm not 6'3" or 6'4", but everything was looking promising, and as a middle school kid I thought there was no chance I was going to be doing something like this. I thought I'd be doing something competing, doing stuff athletic, playing football, and doing stuff that I enjoyed at that moment. Obviously that didn't happen, and it was a bit naive, but at that point you're still a kid, so you're allowed to be naive and stuff like that. So obviously football was my first passion, and in high school, I came to a realization that I would not be playing football long term. I had peaked early and I just wasn't gonna grow anymore, it's just a fact. So I started looking around for what was next for me. And I came to the realization that I needed to find a job that I was, one, gonna be passionate about and actually wanna do long term, and two, was sustainable and would actually keep me having a job long term. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. The process I went through and how I came to my final answer. I know there are people looking to transition from different careers because of all the craziness that happened over the last year, and I also know there are people in high school who are graduating and looking for the same kind of answers I was whenever I graduated. I naturally took a bunch of career aptitude tests and stuff along those lines, and I got this generic answer: engineering. But it did make sense. I like to solve problems, I like to build things, I was good at math, I was good at science, I wasn't all that interested in social sciences at the time, so it seemed fairly accurate to me. It also didn't hurt that most engineering fields had a pretty paycheck also attributed with them. But like I said, engineering is a fairly broad term and can be applied to many different fields. So naturally I had to narrow it down to a few. And what I came to is I found 3 that I was most interested in: mechanical, electrical, and software. Those are all 3 promising fields that I had actually experience with doing stuff in high school as well. But narrowing things down from there was much harder than I expected. Like I said, I had experience with all of them, but I enjoyed all of them for different reasons. I was on the robotics team in high school and I was able to cut, craft, and build this robot from the ground up. And that action of building and doing stuff with my hands was very enjoyable, and that's something I could see myself doing long term. But I had also taken a lot of programming classes in high school and found that I loved to design programs and build them in infrastructure and architecture, those programs in a very elegant way, and that was very enjoyable as well. But lastly, the one I had actually had the least amount of experience but also did a lot with at home more was I got to build things with electricals. Like I took apart a gaming chair and built like a radio with it. I also built a radio cooler. I built a computer and all kinds of stuff like that. All those stuff, the electrical ideas and understanding of how electrical components can connect and the inner workings of electronics was very interesting, and actually I had a lot of passion of just breaking stuff apart and seeing how it worked. But in the end, I did come to my final answer: software engineering. This came down to a few factors. I felt like software engineering was a field that was not going anywhere. This came down to a few factors. I felt like software engineering was the future and that nothing was really going to go away from that. I felt like computers was going to be a long-term thing and that everything would be controlled by computers in 5 to 10 years. And that's kind of accurate if you think about it. We now have cars that are being driven by AI. Elon Musk is talking about putting chips in people's heads so that they can control body parts that they previously couldn't. He's also saying that these chips will eventually allow us to communicate without actually talking. But in the end, my decision came down to my ultimate passion: solving problems. Software engineering is the ultimate game of solving problems. You have to find the balance between coming up with an elegant and efficient solution that's also easy, logical, and readable for other people to be able to solve and look at as well. This balance is actually hard to find sometimes, and you'll find that some people will come up with overly complex solutions in order just to look good, but then can't really explain how it works 5 months down the line because it just isn't readable or isn't understandable anymore. Programs have to be understandable, structured, and logical because programs are dynamic, unlike most electronical and mechanical solutions that you see now. You can have between 5 and 20 developers all working in the same code base and same area, and if you make things overly complex, then you make everyone else work slower and inefficiently. But one of the most satisfying things about my job in software development as a whole is if you get asked to solve this really complicated problem that you think is impossible at first, but then you end up coming up with this very elegant and simple solution that solves the problem in a very efficient and logical and very clean way. I personally get filled up with that little adrenaline because code can be very complicated and annoying in a way. So you can come up with these really tiny issues that just break everything. So whenever you solve the problem and it just works, it's just such a satisfying feeling. You get filled up with all those endorphins and everything, and it's just very, I don't know, happy feeling whenever you see a program run first time and it's working successfully. That was my choice. I decided to do software development, and I think that it's a really good career to go into. Like it's very lucrative in pay. It's also very sustainable, and tech industry has actually been booming in this last year, and there's just more and more people being hired for it. Some people say it's an oversaturated market, but I don't really think so. I still see people getting hired all the time and getting paid still the going rate, if not more than what they were expecting before. So if anyone's looking to change careers and finds that they love to be challenged on a daily basis, love to solve problems, love to work in teams to come up with elegant and complex solutions for business needs, then software engineering may be the answer for you. But with that said, thanks for watching the video, and see you next week on Modern Mindset.